Hello and welcome to Crizzy Books. I'm Crizzy, or Criz, but only my homeboys call me Criz. And today I'm going to talk about Congo by Michael Crichton. Congo is a sci-fi thriller slash adventure novel. It's set in the jungle of the Congo. In this story, we follow an expedition team that goes deep into the rainforest in search of a lost city of Zinj. It's this ancient lost city. This city is located next to a volcano, which has some kind of special blue diamond. This corporation, they are the ones funding and putting together this expedition team. They want these diamonds because they help with technology. Or something. They make technology run better. The team is made up of mercenaries and also scientists, people who work for the corporation, a guy who is a primatologist and has a gorilla that goes with them. And she knows sign language. And throughout their adventure, they run into a number of jungle threats, including one very deadly and mysterious thing. This is not the first Michael Crichton book that I've read. I read Jurassic Park a number of years ago. However, I don't really remember anything about that book. So I guess that we'll call this the first one because it's the one that I've actually taken the time to think about and do some kind of an analysis and a review for. And I thought it was actually pretty good. I enjoyed it quite a bit for the most part. However, there are a couple of things that I just felt detracted from the overall story and really hindered it from being an all-out classic like Jurassic Park is. This is a science fiction techno thriller, so there is a lot of tech talk. And for how old the book is, this was written in 1981. I can admire and commend Crichton for his really forward thinking on this technology. When you're reading it, it all sounds so absurd given what time it's set in, but by today's standards, this is all completely feasible, actually really accessible. There's satellite phones and tracking devices and surveillance equipment and all kinds of crazy stuff. Unfortunately, when it comes to this sci-fi and technology and all of that talk, it got a little too deep a lot, and it would lose me quite often. The characters in this are hit or miss as well. Some are really great standouts, specifically one of the main mercenaries. I really enjoyed him. The gorilla, Amy, she's great. I loved her. She was awesome. But on the flip side, other ones, especially some of the main characters that we're introduced to at the beginning, are really flat and bland and just kind of seem to be there as plot devices and to just move the story forward. They don't really, it's just nothing really to them. I loved the pacing of it when it was actually telling the story. It moves super quick and it is really exciting, and nothing about this was so outlandish that it felt ridiculous or stupid. I mean, maybe a couple times towards the end, but for the most part, it's just fun and it feels mostly grounded. What constantly messed it up for me, though, was all of the detours that Crichton takes throughout the entire book. Whether it's a history lesson or some kind of anecdote or an in-depth technology talk. Sometimes these things were really interesting, but mostly they were just speed bumps for the main story, which just got to be so tiresome for me. It really bogs the story down. And I felt like he could have just used the time that he spent to put all of these things in here to actually flesh out the main story and some of the characters and make some of these moments feel more important. It just felt like a real miss. Because another big problem that I had with this book was that the big moments didn't feel big. There is not a lot of emotional depth or weight to anything when I felt like there should be, and so a lot of the things that happen in this feel very shallow. Spoiler alert, it spoils itself constantly, which isn't a huge deal. A lot of books do that, tell you what's going to happen or the fate of something before it actually happens. But with a book like this, it's supposed to be this big adventure, and it's exciting and full of big stakes. It ruins those things when you know that everything kind of already, it's all going to work out in the end. Everything that I just said probably makes it sound like I hated the book or that I don't think that it's good, and that's not true. I did like this book quite a bit. Oh, it's right here. I liked this book quite a bit. It's lacking in certain areas, or it's bogged down by its own BS, and I think that's what's holding this book back from being really great and being a truly, really fun book, because it is a lot of fun. I had fun with this book. Outside of the flaws that it has, it's a fast-paced, enjoyable jungle adventure that's full of action and violence, and I enjoyed all of those things. If you want to see my final review and ranking for Congo, you can skip ahead. I'll have it timestamped down below. But for now, I'm going to get into spoiler talk. So if you do not want to be spoiled, please leave. All right. Amy is a talking gorilla. Well, she talks with sign language, but she can speak. We get this kind of history lesson, scientific thing about a bunch of scientists who have tried to do something like what Peter is doing with Amy. And I've looked it up, and most of these things are all true. And I found that absolutely fascinating. I think that real world information helped me, like, it helped Amy feel real to me. She was truly the star of the show for me. She was easily my favorite character, and I think that's because I cared about her the most. It helps that she is an animal, and I'm an animal lover, but at the end of the day, I feel like she had the most emotional, like, depth and any type of like actual reaction to things. Monroe as well, outside of Amy, was a character that I really liked and seemed to have some kind of actual personality. I also got to learn what caprophagia is, which is when you choke on your own poop. Didn't really need to know that, but I know that now. I talked about the pacing and how it can go from being slow as molasses to lightning fast, and things don't seem to matter. It happens early on. A good example of that is when Amy is abducted by the rival corporation. Like, they lose her and find her in a matter of about 30 minutes. And it's like they have a helicopter on demand, and they find her in a junkyard in Africa because they put a tracking device in her. And all this stuff happens so quickly. And it's like it doesn't matter at all. It almost felt like, why was this even included in the book? Because there was no like, oh my God, how are we going to find her? It was just like, oh, it's no big deal. We'll get her back here in 25 minutes. No problem. It felt like it should have been a bigger, like more, crazy, stressful thing, and it just wasn't. And honestly, I think that he spent more time talking about Congolese cannibals than he did about this, which felt a little off. However, some of the things that I really did like about the plot, Peter and Amy's relationship, I loved their interactions. It felt like a genuine connection between those two. I definitely cared about what happened to both of them, even if Peter seemed a little shallow at times. There's a hippo attack in the river. I really liked this part. It was a good, fun, well-paced action sequence. Hippos are absolutely terrifying, and I think that this showcased that. It was just a fun, wild river ride. The first mutated gorilla attack on their camp while they're in Zinj, I thought was also really well done. It was pretty eerie. There's a lot of tension. They're in the dark. They have this kind of lock-on, heat-seeking Gatling gun kind of drone thing that's going off, and electric fences. I really liked this a lot. I liked a lot of the moments that dealt with the mutated gorillas. I was really interested in that part of the story. Some of the things that were a little much for me, this is mostly at the ending, was when all of this stuff happened. There's a giant volcano eruption that they started by blowing up all of this like diamond cave or whatever, and then there's a lightning storm. They're outrunning this volcano, and now there's a lightning storm that they're also somehow avoiding. And then once they get away from that, they're attacked by a tribe of indigenous people, and then they escape in a hot air balloon, and it just got a little too insane for me, that it was so hard to believe. And what I otherwise felt like was, and maybe at times a little ridiculous, but still pretty grounded in reality. I talked about this before, and I'm going to talk about it again because I can be a little more specific here about this. But my biggest issue with the book was that big moments don't seem to matter, and that the book just moves on like nothing happened, or the characters don't seem to care. For example, the whole first third of this book, they are searching for this lost city of Zinj, and they find it. And when they find it, it's like, okay, well, what's next? Like, this is a lost city, guys. You just found this thing that people have been speculating on, and it's like the thing of legend and myth. You found it. Like, let's take the time, be a little wowed, have a little more awe. Like, this is a big thing, and it didn't seem to be that surprising to anybody. Then, once inside of this city, they find these mutated, highly intelligent, super deadly gorillas that are living there and protecting this place. They have a lot of very violent interactions with them, and then they find that there's this giant population of like 300 or 400. They like come up on this massive group of these gorillas, and again, it's just like, oh, well, there they are. It's like, are you not terrified right now? These things have tried to kill you, and that was only a couple. And now you know that there's like 400 of them. Like, you guys need to get out of here now. And nobody seems scared or shocked by this information. For a short amount of time, while they're in the jungle, Amy just leaves, and nobody knows where she goes. It turns out that she's been with another like group of gorillas. This doesn't seem to bother anybody, especially Peter. He doesn't seem too worried about it. And it's like, dude, like, are you not worried about this gorilla? Like, it seems like you guys like basically live together. You see each other every day. She could be dead or kidnapped or hurt. You don't know what's going on. And it's just like, we gotta get, where's Amy at? Well, whatever. I gotta get to this lost city and stuff. It's like, what? What are we doing? And the ending, the very end, was kind of like in a movie, like where it'll be like, this character went on to go and do this, and it shows like a picture of them. That was basically what it was for each one of the characters. The ending of this felt so rushed, and there was this, again, a moment that could have just been so good. They end up returning Amy to the jungle, and she joins this group of gorillas there, and Peter doesn't see her for like 12 years. He goes back, and he ends up seeing her, and she has a baby with her, and that's it. Like, basically what I just said is how it's like written in the book. It's really that simple. There is no real interaction between them. There's nothing. And it kind of sucks. Like, it's like the most driest fart interaction ever. Those are just some of the examples of like things where I'm like, this should be bigger and this should mean more within the general context of this book. And it just doesn't. And it doesn't seem to matter to any of the characters either. And yeah, just like, those are the things that I feel like really like screwed up the book, where it could have been so much better. Overall, I gave Congo a 3 out of 5. This book is not very deep, and that's okay. I still did enjoy it. I think that the story is a lot of fun. It's a good time. Without trying to sound like too pretentious. Like, I like books with a little more punch to them. I want my characters to have real emotions and not to come across as robots. This book is definitely more plot-driven than what I typically am drawn to reading. The sign language gorilla had more human emotion than really any other person in this story. I think that this book is better enjoyed if you lower your standards or maybe turn your brain down just a bit. I think that's kind of how I went into it, and I did enjoy it for the most part. It's just not a super serious book. It doesn't take itself super serious, but then it also does. Like, it's weird. I don't know. But it is not bad. Like, I don't think that this is a bad book. It's just missing some things that I think could have made it, like, fantastic with just a little more effort, or maybe like editing, or I don't know. It's just missing some of those little pieces that really, really could have made it really great, and I really would have loved it. But instead, I just liked it. But what do you think? Have you read Congo? Let me know what your thoughts are down below. If you are on Goodreads or Fable, I am on both, so you can follow me on there, see what I'm reading now, what I'm going to be reading, all that good stuff. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and as always, thanks for watching. Bye.